I sing it every night, and I fight to hide the tears, 'cause this one's for you, this one's for you. This one's for you, wherever you are.
Hello and welcome to the Diner Boys Podcast, where we talk about music, what affects us in our lives, and why we like it. My name's Darian.
I'm Johnny. We also talk about other things, maybe, perhaps. I guess we'll
Okay.
see all in due time.
We can talk about whatever you want.
And we have a third boy around this diner table that is in our house.
It's me. My name's Ben.
What's going on?
Hey.
What's going on, guys?
So for this inaugural episode of the Diner Boys Podcast, we have decided to just, kind of let you know where we are at in our musical tastes and specific little things, some questions we came up with, some things to answer. But why don't you just lead us off with the first one so we can know.
So I think the first question we should go with, we've got a number of questions here.
I think we have too many questions.
We have a lot of questions.
There's like 45 questions.
Not that many questions.
Except for Darian didn't write any of them down.
Yeah.
I wrote them down. I'm not on the phone person. I like to write things down, and then you leave books.
See,
places.
the thing about doing things the old-fashioned way is you leave them places.
No, that's
You gotta roll with the technology, bro.
that's accurate. I know.
You keep
I know.
your
Phones are
phone in your
attacked.
pocket
Yeah.
at all times, and it has a note app.
I know. I know.
This is called the Bash Darian podcast.
I don't like it.
I hope
don't
you know
like
what
it.
you're walking into.
I quit.
All right, Johnny, rattle off the first question.
Since we're starting things off kind of fresh with this being our inaugural episode and everything, why don't we start with some other things that are fresh in our lives? Like, let's say 3 bands that, have really jumped onto your hot list lately. Like, what have you been jamming to lately? What's bringing in the new tunes for you?
Who wants to go first?
You do, Ben.
I do.
Ben wants
That's
to go
what I
first.
want.
Ben
You're
has the notes.
I do have notes. Unlike some people. All right. What are 3 bands that? I think the first one I had to talk about was Julian Baker. I don't know if any of y'all heard of this or not, but I sent her album to Darian a little bit ago. I don't know if you listened to her or not.
I did.
But I picked up on her when Devil Wears Prada did a cover of one of her songs called Sour Breath.
Okay.
And, it's kind of like a lighter, kind of more atmospheric kind of stuff. She's pretty dark in what she does, but it's kind of just like her and guitar on her own. And it's like some of the most, I think, beautiful music that I heard last year. So, so yeah.
That's honestly an interesting concept. You always hear of metalcore bands like pop punk covers or pop covers turned metal, but you never really hear of an artist taking a metalcore song and sort of reversing it. If it's not the band itself doing an acoustic version of their own tune.
Yeah, Architects was doing something like that recently. They did a Deftones song, but it was just the Deftones song, but the same.
I do like the sound of that.
Yeah, so they did Architects did a cover, but it was exactly the same as the Deftones song. So I wasn't really sure why they did it. I was a little confused. Actually, just go around the room one, and then Johnny, you can jump in with one.
Yeah, because I also have notes.
Ooh.
Look.
Yes?
I'm sorry I like to write with pen, okay?
You're so old-fashioned.
Did you write it with your quill?
I didn't.
I actually took the quill out of my hat and wrote down this on my parchment.
Did you run out of ink?
I don't need to be here.
No, you set this all up.
Actually, yeah, it's in our
You
house.
do actually need to be.
I need you to pay rent.
All right,
Please
Johnny,
don't go
what you
anywhere.
got on the list?
Okay, so let's see. I'm not going to go into metalcore just yet. So I'll start with one field with what I've been listening to lately, which sort of goes into another question, but we'll get to that here soon enough. But Oliver Arnolds is someone who I've been jamming to lately. And this guy is, I believe he was a metal drummer turned composer, basically, and he just does all this
You'd be surprised at how many people do that, because Max Richter did it, and he did a recomposition of Vivaldi's Four Seasons, which I'm really fond
That
of.
may actually be the person I'm thinking of.
Max Richter and you said
Oliver
whatever.
Arnolds?
They're two different people. But
I could be getting them confused with one another.
no.
But anyway,
Wait, just continue. Sorry.
you know, drummers and metalcore bands
Yes,
are
they're-
the coolest people.
They're smarter than we think.
We are.
Get out. Leave.
So yeah, he does like all of this. It's sort of like a modern take on a lot of classical concepts, as well as his own original content. I've also found out that he writes a lot of cinematic scores for some not huge movies, but not small movies either. Like one that he did. Like no, do not. I am not playing. My phone just freaked out
Oh
there
my
for a
goodness.
Johnny, can you please do a little better because we're we're on the podcast.
second. Oh my God, we're recording.
Wow.
It was
So much for notes. Am I right?
Stop, Darian. You're not
Broadchurch,
You're not
that's
going
the
to come
show.
back from that.
Yes, he wrote. Is it a show?
It's I'm pretty sure it's like a. Is it a BBC show? It's a show or a movie.
It is a cinematic piece of art. Whether it is, you know,
I'm pretty sure it's a show.
Whether it's a show
'Cause
that has David Tennant on it. Or
That's that's what I thought. I thought it was David.
but yes, he composed the music for Broadchurch, which I've been jamming heavily to that entire album. I guess I can call it an album. It's
Yes.
yes.
Johnny sent me this album yesterday, and I listened to it on the way here. And I think I have, like, I'm going to say that I have probably the opposite approach to this album, because when I turned it on, what I heard was what can only be described as sounds.
Yes.
Like, only sounds. Like, it was like a... 6 minutes. Johnny, I want you to explain to me what you love so much.
Okay, it's not
about
just
this album.
sounds though.
It's a variety of
it's,
sounds.
it's a lot of sounds, yes, but it's more than just that. It's, you know, it's got some strings and it's got some of
You
those.
just like it because it's pretty noisy.
It's very pretty noises, yes. It's very ethereal and it's very emotional for me. Like, it really pulls me in to my inner me, I guess. But
So deep.
Let's talk about Johnny's Inner Me really
let's
quick.
not talk about
His
my
new
inner me
album
just
called
now.
Inner Me
His new
comes
album.
out in 2019.
2019. Be on the lookout for that. Inner Me.
February 30th. Be looking out for it.
Ooh.
Darian, when you did write something down for this question, can you tell us what your first album that you've been jamming to?
Yes, I can.
Or do we need to stop the podcast?
No, we
You can
don't.
go track and get your notes.
Leave me alone. I have been listening very much so to Professor Caffeine and the Insecurities. I sent the video game EP to Ben, and you were like,
No one sent me anything.
you were like,
Look,
well, actually, you probably would enjoy them. But Ben was like, I don't know how to genre this. It was
it's true. Like,
yeah, it's really strange. The band used to be Emma Ate the Lion. They were together for a few years back in like the early 2000s and broke up around like 2009, I think, or something. But yeah, they're very proggy. They're definitely just a prog band. But the lead singer his voice is weird. That's the only way I can describe it. It's weird, but I love it a lot.
yeah.
Some people would say it's super not good, his voice. But he's got, you know, he's got great tone and he's got a strong voice, and that's what I really enjoy about it.
I mean, I think there's some vocalists that can definitely pull that off. Like, there's just that you're just like, I wouldn't like to hear them do anything else but what's going on right now. Like, for some reason, what they're doing now feels okay.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely is. He's created the music that works for his voice,
Right.
which is, I guess, what you're kind of supposed to do.
Well, I think you can, like, liken that to some, like, different forms of hardcore and metalcore, which, by the way, is actually what Johnny and I we play hardcore, metalcore.
We do the things.
Yeah, so that's mostly what you're going to hear about from the two of us on this podcast is, like, heavier music. So if you're not into that, that's fine.
That's
we
why
know
have
we know a
Darian
little
here.
bit about other stuff, and yeah, Darian knows a lot. So
I enjoy it, but I can appreciate it, and I do listen to some.
but yeah, to get back to the point, or my point rather, when you listen to like hardcore stuff like that, like the music is so brash itself that if the vocals aren't like on par, it kind of like fits the mood, I guess. That it's just like so over the top and ridiculous that if the vocalist isn't perfect, you're like, that's alright.
Yeah.
No, we'll let it go.
We'll let it go. That's fine. But yeah, that's good. Good. But that wasn't mine. Professor
Nice.
Caffeine and the Insecurities. Look up their video game EP. It's pretty great.
Alright, coming back to me. So I had a different one to start with, but I'm like yesterday started listening to Barry Manilow, and we decided this morning to make his song our intro, just because I love Barry Manilow so much now.
That's wild.
I started listening to Barry Manilow literally today, and his album, like his album that our intro song is on, slaps. Like it's the best song. Like he has so many good hits on that song, like on that album.
So many good hits that you just discovered today.
Look,
They're
he has
clearly hits for you.
he has the second song is Daybreak, which is also a jam. Pretty much the entire A side is Beast. He also has Looks Like We Made It on that same album.
Sure.
We did listen to that on our way to get our
You're right. And if you
coffee
never
by Dunkin' Donuts, not a sponsor.
Why?
I wish.
non-spawn,
Please sponsor us,
Please
Dunkin'.
sponsor us.
I love-
Podcasts only get sponsored by like Quip and like Casper mattress and like dog.
Not if they have this many background sounds. Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
You live in a dumpster.
The dogs upstairs are kind of the worst.
Wow. I feel like we're in the dryer.
Speaking of Barry Manilow, we've got a nice little record prop here. Just
Our
to set
setup
the
is our
mood.
is a shrine to Barry Manilow.
It
no
absolutely
one can
is.
say any different if they saw it. But
Yeah.
Perfect.
it fills me with happiness that Barry Manilow has grabbed your heart though so hard.
Look, he's got
this
so many
day.
good songs. I'm not gonna lie. Like I was
It's
having a
so-
great time.
It's great, and I'm happy about it personally.
Manilow. But yeah, you'll probably see a picture of this whole shrine that we've created for Barry Manilow on our social media.
I just want to like tell the audience something really quick to if you have ever or have not ever seen the cover photo for This One's For You, the album came out in 1976. Go look at it right now. Stare into Barry Manilow's eyes and tell him no, I'm not going to listen to your album. Because you can't. You can't do it.
You just can't.
You can't deny it. Like the album is full, like the album cover is full face Barry Manilow looking into your soul saying, listen to this album. And you can't just be like, nah, I'm not gonna.
That's fair.
You gotta do it.
Okay.
So that's mine. That's my second one.
How do I follow that?
You just with whatever you have.
You can't follow up. You know.
Did
You
Barry
can't
Manilow-
follow up Barry Manilow.
Did Barry
follow
Manilow
Manilow.
also grab your soul today?
Is that
Enough
gonna
to
be your
on
second
hot
one too
list?
now?
Are you gonna be listening?
Barry Manilow
for
grabbed
this
my
week?
soul today, but not to the point where I, added it onto my list of 3 bands that have made it onto my hot list. Though,
Okay.
ask me in a week and
We'll
Manilow will be my most listened to artist of 2019, I guarantee you. So the next band that I have, they're not huge yet, but they're really picking up some momentum here. But it's this little hardcore band. Are they hardcore? Could you label them as hardcore?
Depends on who it is.
Well, I should probably say who it is first. Yeah, so it's Greyhaven.
Greyhaven.
Greyhaven, they just dropped an album.
Pretty good.
Right?
Yeah, they did. Greyhaven is I guess you could say kind of more hardcore, yeah. But they're kind of like an older school kind of metalcore, I think. To me they sound a lot like Every Time I Die, which is a good thing because Every Time I Die is awesome.
Yes.
But yeah, they're really cool. You saw them recently, right?
I did. I just saw them in Philadelphia. I drove up there the week of Thanksgiving to see Silent Planet. And Kublai Khan and Greyhaven were on the lineup. And it was my first time seeing both of them. I hadn't really gotten into Greyhaven at the time, but I'd heard many good things, and they were like on my list of things to check out. But after seeing them live and then listening to the album on the way home, I was I was sold. But yeah, if you haven't yet, go check out Grey Haven. Their album is called Empty Black. It has some beautiful tunes on there, of which I can pull one up now. I will not play for you. You can do that yourself.
We'll see.
No.
What's your favorite Grey Haven song?
My favorite Grey Haven song is Echo and Dust Part Uno.
Part 1.
Yes, the first one.
For those of you that don't speak Spanish, that's part 1.
It's the Spanish version of the album that it's
Yes.
called Part Uno.
Yes, because they did a Spanish dub of this song. Actually, the whole.
Whole album's in Spanish, just so you all are aware.
It's like a Guster's Meow Mix version of one of their albums. I'm pretty sure I've told you guys both about that album, but it's great.
Oh yeah.
Have I told you about it?
No, get it. Jump in.
I'm gonna tell you about it before I go on. So I think it's Guster is the band. They released an album, and then I think in that same year or a year later, they re-released that album with all the same songs, but they said meow for every single word of every song.
What?
What?
They were like meow 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 meow. They did that for the whole album.
So it's like their original album.
It's
they
their
meowed
original.
all the songs.
Yes.
Like low key, can you just go ahead and send that to me?
Yeah. It's
Actually, we're just gonna put it right there in the old description.
Yeah,
We're gonna drop it wherever this is.
The album, I think, was Keep It Together in 2003. And then they did Keep It Together, or it's called the Meowstro Sings, Guster's Keep It Together. But it's, yeah, so the original album cover is this hummingbird right here.
Uh-huh.
And then the Meow Mix version is a cat.
That
as
is,
the hummingbird.
oh my god, that is so beautiful.
But the whole but every song is just sung with meow by them.
That's
I
every
will
week.
I will send you both this album.
Nice.
It's great.
No,
but,
so I think,
yes.
going back to links in the description, all the artists and albums we speak of this
That's
day.
so much.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot.
That's so
Okay,
much.
okay, at least
All
the top 3. So the top 9 that we speak of.
Okay, the ones
We
for
will-
this discussion.
Yes,
we're gonna
for this
throw them.
question, we will have links in the descriptions.
Correct.
To said artists and tunes and things.
Yes.
All
Okay.
right, so you said Grey Haven.
I
All right.
did.
Nice.
So-
Darian. Sorry.
And I want to preface this with I don't want to be judged, which I don't think there would be here.
To
I mean, you
preface
just
it.
talked about an artist who has an entire album.
But see,
where they
that's
just
amazing.
meow.
I'm about to lay some like hard pop
I
on
was just
you
throwing
guys.
out there that if we don't judge you for listening to music,
Because
that
I know
just
you
says
guys
meow.
would, because I know you guys would think that's awesome and hilarious.
Darian, did you actually listen to that album in its entirety?
Yes, I did.
What? How did you finish?
It's fun. It was
How
just fun.
how many substances were you on at that point?
How did it make you feel?
I was laughing most of the time.
Okay.
Because I only like partially knew, like I knew all of the songs off that album, but I had only listened to the album a few times, so I knew the songs, but like I couldn't.
But you can meow to them.
But I could meow to them now, so I don't need to know the words. I just need to know the melody, and I could just say meow, and it's legit. I'm singing an album.
Watch you go see the original band.
Seeing Gusto would be really fun.
Say,
That'd
if
be a
you
lot
go
of
see
fun.
Gusto live and they play this stuff in just the back of your head, you're thinking, meow, meow.
So, my recent hot list, which I'm gonna get very basic for y'all.
It's Ariana Grande.
Yes, it's Ariana Grande.
How did I know?
Whoa.
I've been listening real hard.
I've heard a lot of good things about her new stuff.
Because Thank You Next slaps real hard.
For real?
Imagine slaps super hard. They're both like the I haven't listened to yet, which is the newest one that came out, but those two, I was listening to exclusively those two songs for like almost a month.
Yeah.
They're just great, and I'll find myself singing them to myself, and I'll be like, I don't want to keep singing this song. Please, stop singing this song. But I love them. I love the songs, and she's great, and she's
Tell
really
us more
come out
about
to her
Ariana
own.
Grande, Darian.
I mean, I don't know her personally.
Tell us
but
about
she
your
seems really cool.
deep-seated love for Ariana Grande.
It's not deep.
I mean, I guess it's not deep-seated, right? It's pretty out in the open.
Pretty out.
You're
in the
pretty open about. your
I'm
love
not.
for
I'm not
Ariana
ashamed.
Grande.
It's not a bad thing to like pop anymore. Like to be like douchebag and be like, I don't listen to anyone that has over 1,000 plays per month on their Spotify.
Oh,
It's just
I
like,
guess you're right.
what is wrong with you?
But no, I have heard good things about Ariana Grande's new album. Like, there's a lot of people out there that are just like, yeah, this is just good. Like, what people were saying about Justin Bieber's last album, they're saying that about this. They were like, yeah, this is amazing.
Yes,
you know, just like even
sweet.
regular folks who aren't like teenage girls were like, yeah, Ariana Grande. I was like,
Yeah.
well, I'll give it a shot. I haven't yet, but I'm going to.
Sweetener was really good. Her Sweetener, the album that came out last, was great. And then the singles she's been dropping lately are just bombs. I love them.
Nice.
So, recent jump, which was unexpected to me, which I really enjoyed.
Darian, have you listened to any other pop stars? Who's your favorite other pop stars? That you know?
Well, don't spoil my third pick.
Oh, that's you got another.
I got
pop
another
star?
one for my third pick.
Okay,
You
well,
guys
we'll
probably
just-
don't know her as much, but
We'll take
yes.
it back around.
Oh,
then, I
I'm
guess.
pretty sure I know who it is.
You don't know who it is.
I don't? You weren't talking to me about it this morning?
No.
Oh,
She's
okay.
not really a pop artist. She's an indie pop-ish.
Okay.
But I mean, I'll talk about her all the time, every day, and I love her very much. But this is your turn, Ben. Go.
All right. For my third one was a band that I saw recently in North Carolina. They were a tour with a band called Joy, who just released an album, by the way.
I believe you're wearing their hat.
I am actually right
Wow.
That's a good hat.
now. But the band that I want to talk about is called Funeral Chic.
Funeral
Okay.
Chic.
Okay, so this was probably the strangest hardcore band that I've ever seen, because the guy was dressed, or the lead vocalist was dressed in cowboy boots. Okay, just imagine this guy. He looks like Lemmy, but like skinny Lemmy with blonde hair.
Huh.
So this guy was wearing cowboy boots, had the mustache, the curly handlebar
Interesting.
mustache, and he had like the strong Texas accent, and it's Lemmy's. But this band was basically a grindcore band, so they were just like going off and like blast beats and all kinds of crazy stuff, and this guy just like had this super southern like draw with his scream. It was like crazy. But my favorite part of the show was right before he hit, I think it was like the last breakdown of the show. They were like doing the old, feedback thing with the guitars where they were just like really amping it up to go. And this guy just like gets on the mic and he's just like, I got run over by a Lexus, baby. And then they just drop the breakdown. I was like, what does that mean?
Did
And
you
then-
throw it out?
Love that.
No, I was taking pictures, but
Oh, okay. Okay. Well,
I would have. I was like, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. And after the song was over, like after the set, he had thrown the mic on the ground, but he picks it back up and he's like, I didn't actually get run over by a Lexus, but it was a Taurus.
But it
And I'm like,
wasn't.
what? This guy actually got ran over by a vehicle?
That makes it better?
I guess so.
Now, how do you know that it wasn't actually Lemmy up there on stage and you just like completely changed
You
his...
think Lemmy got run over by a Lexus and that's how he actually went?
Well, no, clearly it was a Taurus.
Or it could have been, his drug addiction.
No, it's Lenny Incarnate. Come on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
That band is so awesome though. Like, if you're ever in a grindcore with Lemmy vocals, then I know what band you need. You need Funeral Chic.
Funeral Chic.
And regardless of if you like it or not, I go out and check out some Funeral Chic. Especially if you see them live, like hang out, watch Funeral Chic. That's all I got. That's all I got to say.
I like
That's my
it.
third band.
That's such a name. What a name. Funeral Chic. Okay.
All right.
Johnny, what you got for your third pick?
It's not Funeral Chic.
But what could top it? I wonder.
I keep having to follow up on this guy. Like, how do I...
And a guy that sounds like Lemmy. Right? We
Clearly,
got hit by a Lexus, baby.
but it was really a Taurus.
Look, he didn't need to get into specifics, but I'm glad he did.
The clarity is very nice.
Oh, man. Yeah, so the band that I have, the third band that I have on here, is a band that I just started listening to them, like, maybe 2 weeks ago. But my vocalist, Trevor, sent this band to me. They're called Forgetting the Memories. And they slap pretty hard.
Are we always going to say slap when it
That's-
comes to
you know-
whatever we're saying?
Term terminology.
That's what the
now.
kids say these days.
That's the comment.
Their tunes hit hard. Okay,
I
how about
understand.
that? Is that better?
Their tunes are very rocking.
They got the good stuffs.
very rocking tunes.
Tell us
Yeah.
about it. Tell us about forgetting the memories.
Well, I haven't forgotten about them. That's a good thing.
Okay. Good start. Good.
Yes.
Yep.
But they have this one song on their last album they dropped, which, let me pull that up for you so I can give you the deets, which I did not write down, though I should have.
Maybe Darian can write it down with his quill.
Let's see.
Okay.
So, Forgetting the Memories, they huge, but they are.
I mean, they're doing pretty well, and they
Yeah.
got some like 500,000 listens on some of their songs.
Yeah, actually, one of the songs I'm going to talk to you about has, at this point in time of recording, just over 540,000 listens.
Probably what Ben's looking.
Yes, but oh wow, it did not just come out. It was just sent to me recently. This album.
How old is this album, Johnny?
This album?
This brand new album that came out in 2014.
Actually,
2015.
Yes.
Excuse me.
It was 2015. So obviously, I 100%.
They're new to
perfect.
you, right?
Yes, they are new to me.
I think that's what the question was.
Yes, just like Barry Manilow was new to you.
Look.
Forgetting the Memories is new to me.
What do you like about them?
They have a nice blend of metalcore and I don't want to say death metal.
Are there
But
blast
hardcore.
beats?
There are blast beats.
Okay,
yes,
then it's probably a little more death metal then, right?
Yes, they've got a lot of blast beats, but they have this one song called "Into Gray," that is "Into Gray," that has this intro. Intro for any metalcore song out there.
Yeah.
It starts off very.
Is it just a lot of
ethereal.
the ocean? Is it a lot of ocean sounds? Is the tide gonna sweep over you at some point?
No, but I'm gonna do that to our next song.
Okay.
Now that you mention it,
Next song is gonna be Shot on the Beach.
that's gonna be the name of the song. Is "Shot on the Beach."
Wow.
Out on the beach.
Dark.
And then in parentheses, do.
Shut up.
And you should make a cat version of it.
Darian's next album or next artist is gonna be Baby Shark.
No.
I can't begin to tell you how much I detest Baby Shark.
Is it all the do's? Because Batman had a lot of do's.
It's the song as a whole.
Oh, okay.
It's all the do's and how repetitive it is.
Is
And I'm
it
not saying
because the Baby
repetition's-
Shark comes before the do's, unlike Batman, where it's like did it Batman?
Well, it's not even do. It's na for Batman.
I mean, it could be dues. They're
No.
you can pay your dues to Batman.
You can, but
He makes sure you pay his dues.
but it's more nah. But
Johnny, forgetting the memories. Sorry, we jumped
yes,
off there.
no. Well, actually, I'm not too happy over the fact that it was interrupted by Baby Shark of all.
Tell us about the intro. please.
So the intro. So I'm learning in my experience of music that I really cling to stuff that has. It's very open and very ethereal at the beginning.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of sounds, and if you feel like you
Johnny
can get
loves
engulfed-
sounds.
I love
Sounds are good.
Johnny, I don't know if you, the audience, remember when I said that once Johnny sent me an entire album full of sounds.
Yes,
It was 46 minutes of sounds.
and it was beautiful.
So many.
Brought me to
So
tears.
many.
Let me tell you.
All right.
So anyway, it's super ethereal, and it's got this nice overlay going on. Later on, if I'm remembering correctly, I listened to it this morning, but I can't quite recall. And then it hits with the typical metalcore jams,
Yeah.
while the ethereal stuff is going on. It's a little.
Would you say
janky.
that like anything about the riffs make them different, or is it just like
So
what
I-
like makes them stand out to you as like a heavy band as opposed to others? Because I know a lot of heavy bands are like pretty similar at times.
Yes, so when I listen to actually most music, but primarily metalcore, I don't really focus so much on the riffs. I primarily listen to the rhythm, focus on the time signature, whether it's changed. Because
One time signature? What is that?
it's boring, is what that is. Come on,
Got it right in that 3216, am I right?
please.
I sent you.
You did. You sent
Yeah.
me that video about the video games. Yes, just the video games. You sent me that video about all this video game music that is in odd time signatures.
Yeah.
Like
what was it that was in 3216? I don't remember.
I
which
think
one
it was the final battle in Ocarina of Time when you're going against
Ganondorf,
Ganondorf
yeah.
when
The
you're
Ganondorf
playing
battle.
light tennis with him.
The time signature is 3216.
Oh. Speaking of that, I would just like to.
It's not 3216. That divides to 1-2.
Whatever.
All right, this isn't a math podcast.
No, sorry, 2-1.
How
It
dare
divides
you.
to
All right.
2-1.
Shh. Speaking of that, I would just like to jump in for a second on that topic and just throw out August Burns' Red new Zelda.
Oh my
That was really,
God.
really, really good.
That brought me. That was like the best of both worlds to me. Just coming together, and of course it was August Burns Red that
That did.
made
Yeah, they
the
do a lot of
thing.
great stuff. I don't know if you all know that or not.
They took it to a whole other level with me with that song.
Okay,
Like,
so for not fans of metalcore, the Legend of Zelda, and you can kind of tolerate heavy drums or fast drums rather, I would go ahead and listen to August Burns' Red new Zelda cover because it's crazy.
It's absurd. I love it so much. But yeah, who was it that sent me that? It was Trevor, my vocalist. He sent it while I was on my way to work last Friday.
And you picked up the phone while you were driving, clearly.
Clearly.
No, I have my phone mount, so it popped up.
So you were on the phone while you were driving.
No, I was a good Samaritan.
Got you.
I was a good driver, and I pulled over to the side
To
of the
look
road,
at your.
select the music,
Yeah.
and then go
Actually, you
on
just
my
stopped in the
way.
middle of the highway.
That's actually
just like, hey, hit on the brakes, you know?
I was on the interstate too, I-95 south. Just
People were swerving. It's like, oh, this guy must be taking a phone call. At least he stopped.
I understand.
yeah, no.
Yes.
I mean, I didn't use my flashes or anything. I just hope for the best. Basically, I had that on repeat for about an hour on my drive to work that day.
And you said.
Is it just one song?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just one song, like
Like I
3 minute
wasn't aware
song.
that they put out more songs, but
No, it was just the one song.
And he sent it to me, and he's like, "I'm crying.
It brought in
crying."
tears. It was so good, and it's still very good. It's the same thing that I
We
listened to
keep
on
going
Friday.
away from forgetting the memories. and I
because we
feel
keep
bad for
forgetting the
those guys.
memories, Darian.
So, sounds. You like
Sounds, yes. It goes from sounds into.
It goes from sounds to not sounds.
Basically for about 3 minutes.
Okay. That sounds pretty tight.
It's got a nice
I
break.
mean, I'll definitely check it out, but
Yeah.
Yes.
Forgetting the memories.
That's
Remember that name, because we keep not talking about
I keep
them.
not forgetting about it. All right, Darian, what do you got? What do you got
Okay.
for your third one?
So my third one is also a very much, again, pop.
Is it Post Malone?
It's not Post Malone.
Okay.
How dare you.
Is it Barry Manilow?
Absolutely. He has my heart.
Just so the audience knows, Darian just stared deeply into the eyes of Barry Manilow.
Barry
Because
Manilow
his
looks
record is
happy.
sitting right next to us.
No.
So overjoyed.
For me, her name is Haley Kiyoko.
Okay.
She released an album in 2018 called Expectations, and she's very gay, and that's what a lot of her songs
Extremely.
are about. She's super duper gay, and that's what a lot of her songs are about, but they're just good songs, like good pop songs, which
Interesting.
I've been really happy that there have been good pop songs in this past year, and
Yeah.
I can just to sing, which is I think part of the reason for pop, for why it is almost essential in terms of just music, because
Yeah.
you got to have music that appeals to a wide range for people to be interested in music, and then you can get into pop, but then you can start to explore other things,
Right.
be it either you hear something similar and then you start changing it up, or you just get bored and try to find something else. But
Did you just say that pop is boring?
I said you can get bored. I didn't say it was boring.
This is just in. Pop is actually generic.
Oh my god.
Brand new.
But no, her album's really good, and I just
Is she
I couldn't stop listening to it.
Is she relatively well known, you think?
Relatively, yeah. I mean, she's got
What's
like
her name
a
again?
Haley Kiyoko.
How do you spell that?
Hayley Kiyoko. Like
Not
the
like
Japanese-
Code Lyoko though.
Not quite.
Oh, did not mean to play that.
Jeez, again?
Yeah, my finger slips. Yeah, she's got like 2.4 million monthly listeners on
Like
the
she's
Spotify.
got like a European tour coming up
That's
and all
nice.
that stuff.
Oh, we should go to it.
She's so I mean she picked up traction pretty well.
Yeah.
But like her album.
Kind of under the radar, I guess, as far as pop music goes. Cause,
Yeah. She's not gigantic. Like,
she's not Drake.
No.
I guess.
She appeared on Glory Days back in 2017.
She was. Did you guys ever watch Lemonade Mouth on the Disney Channel?
No.
I've heard of it.
Did you ever watch
That was a year after my time, I think.
the live action Scooby Doo movie that was on like Cartoon Network where they were like young,
Are we talking?
actually young?
Not the one that came out in the early 2000s? Like, there was another one?
No,
But she was a
yeah.
child star, is what you're trying to say?
Yeah, she was a Disney kid,
Okay. Interesting.
sort of, but now she's like doing her own thing.
Dude, those set up. Like, from the time that they're like...
They're set up, but then they like
They also kind of get
can
fucked
do
up.
not good things with it.
Well, I mean, especially like the kids, though. Like, especially like the females, I guess. Like, pretty much every female that I've seen on the Disney Channel has some kind of singing career afterwards.
Well, I think in order to be a... What do they call them? Disney kid? Let's just call
Disney
them-
star.
Yeah,
The Disney
star.
kids.
Yes,
The
the
Disney
Disney
kids.
kids.
This episode's called Disney Kids.
We are no longer the Diner Boys. We are now the Disney kids.
Well, we don't
No.
fit the criteria.
We don't. We're
damn
not
it.
family friendly.
Fuck.
We do fit the criteria for diner boys, though.
Yeah.
I don't know because we don't know what it is yet.
Well, we are at a... We are...
We're at a dinner table.
You know what? Take out the N, Darian.
You're right.
The second N is not needed. Okay?
Anyway, kind of wanted to jump into because I was just kind of like just seeing how many people had, or at least females had, like singing careers afterwards.
Yeah.
Like, well, obviously Miley Cyrus and even like Ashley Tisdale and Hilary Duff. Others help me out here.
Well, I think that
Well, Brenda Song never. Did Brenda Song get into singing?
no, but songs in her name.
Oh my god.
Johnny, you are no longer invited.
It's sad for
You
you to
don't
go.
do that kind of stuff.
No, but I think in order to be, a Disney star, you have to be able to sing.
Do all the talents.
Yes, you have to have all the skills because they can market you better.
There's a funny bit by a guy on Twitter. He does he was like a post Vine star, I guess, like kind of how people kind of get popular on Twitter now that way with the
RIP
funny
Vine,
videos.
by the way.
He like is doing like an interview, I think, for like Disney for like something not even related to acting or singing. He's like, "Can you sing?" He's what? And then he was like freaking out. And then there's the janitor. He's like, "Hey, like Jimmy." He's like, "You sing some bars for us." He's like, "Sing some bars for us." And he like belts it. And the guy's, "What?
Yeah.
Why?"
It's so weird that like child stars have the same criteria as like Hollywood in the 30s. It's like you have to be able to sing and dance, kid, or else we can't use you. It's
Yeah.
like nobody else in Hollywood runs by that anymore. It's just like, do you look the part?
Yeah.
Can you stand there and do something? It's like, yeah, well, you got it. It's so weird.
I mean, Zendaya's even like doing super good with that.
This is true, yeah.
She's she was Disney. She was a Disney star. She was in that Step It Up. But then she's she's in Spider-Man now. Plays a good MJ. But then she was in.
I think she also has her own singing career.
She does. In Smallfoot, which is that one animated movie about the Yetis. But there's singing in it, and she has a song in it, and it's
Yeah.
really, really good.
She was also in The Greatest Showman. But
She was in The Greatest Showman.
Was that Disney? Was that Disney or was that another?
You know,
don't
Johnny, I actually have no
recall.
idea.
I'm not quite sure.
Who
actually.
released The Greatest Showman?
I don't know.
Now I'm curious.
But
That was
yeah.
a good movie. I really enjoyed that.
Pop can be good, and Haley Kyoko's good at it.
Sure.
So she's very gay. That's just an important part of kind of who she is in terms of her music.
I guess that must have been,
she's
like-
using it to pander, but like that she's providing an outlet of relation for people that are going through coming out, and that is part of their identity. And I think that's one reason I like her music is just that it can be that for people,
Yeah.
and it's good.
Johnny, what are you looking up right now?
I'm trying to see who released The Greatest Showman. Like, what big company was behind The Greatest Showman?
Go to the Wikipedia page.
You know what? I just...
Y'all want to take like cast lots or bets or something like that to see who it is? Because I'm pretty sure it was like It's got to be Disney, right? Like that's pretty easy.
That sounds
What do you
right,
think,
Disney.
Darian?
I don't know.
Warner Bros.
Uh,
Has Warner Bros. Even put out a movie in the last 20 years?
they did. Well, Warner Animation Group did Smallfoot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, there you
All right,
go.
I have my answer. What's your bet? And how much are you willing to bet?
20th Century Fox.
20th Century Fox. I'll go Disney. I'll be the Disney guy. I'll say it's Disney. Who is it?
Could you see my phone?
No.
Is it?
Yes,
20th
you
Century
did.
No, I didn't.
You
I
asked-
swear.
Fox? He's over there. How
I
can
promise.
see it? Was
It's
he
20,
right?
It's 20th Century Fox.
Yeah.
That's the one who
Secretly,
released
he
it.
knew it
Beep,
all
beep, beep,
along.
beep.
Did you know?
We got to get sound effects in here.
All
I thought
right.
your sound effects are perfect though.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. Take a clip of that and yeah, we'll make
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah.
Darian.
You're welcome.
All right, let's move on to the second question.
Which is
The
what?
first question was Johnny's question, so we all get a question here on the podcast that we get to ask. And if it doesn't take too long, then we'll run through a couple other ones. But let's go to the second question. Johnny, do you want to? That was your question, the first one, right?
What is the second question? I don't know if yours and I don't know if ours are in the right order.
They're not in
No, you just
order.
So
'Cause
that
you
was
picked
the first
the-
question was yours, right?
You that was your idea. Your
Oh,
question.
was that like my question? I guess
Okay.
it was, yes.
Ben can ask one.
So
now.
Darian, I was gonna let you have it.
No, you go ahead, Ben.
Because you only had one.
had-
You only
had
had
I
one.
had like two.
You only had
No,
one that
you
you
had
sent
one
to
that
us.
you sent
You're
to
a
us.
liar.
Oh, you must have written it down in your elk back novel.
With your
The one that you
Why are you like this?
the elk that you skinned to make your parchments,
Leave
your
me
papers.
alone.
You know, he says he forgot it in the food truck, but really it just disintegrated.
He left it in the
from being
woods.
So old.
All right.
Perfect.
What is the band that you've listened to the longest, and why do you keep coming back?
Question.
The band you've listened to the longest,
Band you've
or
listened
for the
to.
longest amount of time, and what keeps you coming back to that band?
Darian, how about you do the things? Answer this one first.
Okay. Probably the band I've listened to the longest that I keep returning to is probably. I mean, can an argument be said for, say, like something I listened to in high school that I just kind of
Do you continue to listen to that?
like actively listen to, or
I mean, just like it kind of sticks around, you know, like you still listen to whatever new stuff that they put out. You're like, oh, I still love this band,
okay.
you know.
Yeah, in
I guess-
that case, it's like it's not an album you listened to growing up that you don't follow up with the band anymore.
Yeah, so it's just like a band that you still hang on.
Or
to.
that you can, because I mean, I could say MCR, because I still go pretty hard to those.
My Chemical
albums.
Romance does not exist anymore.
No, they don't.
So you can't keep up with
Oh
them.
well,
Oh, I saw something really great from My Chemical Romance the other day.
What's
it was
that?
I think it was an article that says My Chemical Romance, and then you had to scroll down to the bottom so it says met up again for barbecue.
All
So
right.
they just wanted to like hype everyone up because it was like My Chemical Romance meets again, and then you have to scroll all the way for barbecue.
that's the best joke.
They got people lit on that. Like it was great.
I love that.
What do you got? Darian? What do you think?
Probably. Well, if that's the case, then it would have to probably be Goldfinger,
Goldfinger?
because I
Interesting.
listened to their album that they released
Are
in
you like a
2017.
like a hardcore fan of Goldfinger though, or was
I'm
it
not-
just like Superman and you were out like everyone else?
Well, no, I mean, sorta, not quite. No, I listened to them. I didn't like hardcore follow them.
Yeah.
But I like, listened to that album. I listened to a few. I listened to a few others. Not super. I listened to their
They've been
music.
around.
They've been around, and then I discovered that they released an album in 2017, and then I listened to that for like a week.
Yeah, I know we listened to like a little bit of it, and they still sound really good. Which
yeah.
I was surprised by.
It's just it's Goldfinger. You can't really go wrong.
But what's like do you have a band that you're like pretty attached to that you're like I've been listening to this band for a while, and I'm just I got hearts for them.
Yeah, there's Lights.
Lights. How long have you been listening to Lights for? I mean, it doesn't have to be forever. But
Yeah,
it's like
probably been. It was since like 10th grade.
okay.
So it's been it's been like 8 years.
In 10th grade, I think like a few years ago, and then reality hits me, and that was 10 years ago.
It's wacky. Yeah, 10. Yeah, so it was 10 years ago.
That was 10 years ago.
Jeez. Yeah, so I've been listening to her for about 10 years.
Okay.
So it
Damn.
started.
And you've seen her before?
Yes, I've been wanting so desperately to go see her again. I've only seen her one time, and I couldn't fully enjoy it because I got a bad migraine on the way down and couldn't get rid of it before I saw the show.
Hold
That
on.
sucks.
You had a
I
migraine?
swear to God.
Wow, that is so hard to believe.
I have one literally right now.
Migraines
Please
are a
don't.
common occurrence for Darian.
Very common. Darian, whenever he tells a story, typically there's a migraine involved. Or if you ever want to do something with Darian, I guarantee you 9 times out of 10.
Darian's migraines come first. It's like, I want to
You
hang out with
have-
Darian. He's like, but I have a migraine over. And he's like, ah.
I hang out with people even if I'm like suffering.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to
I do this-
discredit your character.
I do this all the time
On the podcast.
even though I get them, I still go and I suffer for a few hours or all day, and then I come home and I sleep.
For 3 hours.
So,
Gee, I wonder why you get migraines, Darian.
but whatever.
So what album cycle did you see Lights on?
It was after she released Little Machines, or yeah.
Was that your favorite one?
At the time, well, no. So my favorite album of hers is still Siberia, which was her second album. Just because the jump in quality of her music from the first to the second was crazy, and then just the change in sound. Because Siberia was a lot more gritty, a lot more wubby dubby, because that was kind of like what was in at the time.
Whoopie
Lots of dubs.
Was there a lot of sounds?
There was a lot of. There was a lot,
Hey,
Johnny
there was
would
a lot-
probably like
yeah, I'd like it.
There was like, I mean, there was like one song on that album that had like a legit dubstep breakdown in it.
Okay.
Which-
That must have been around 2004 then.
It was I think around that time ish.
4 to 7.
It was
Around 2004.
I'm pretty sure
2007.
dubstep was at its peak. When we talk about like dubstep, like the, machine sounds.
Yeah.
Like it sounds like Transformers are just doing things.
no. Siberia came out in 2014.
2014.
Yeah,
Wow, I was about to say it was around 2010.
Get wrecked,
That-
man.
but I that's probably still my favorite because her most recent album was Skin and Earth,
yeah.
which is a concept album that she released alongside with a series of comics that she wrote and illustrated.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Wow.
they kind of paired it. Like the comics, she released a little diagram. So the comics line up with, they're not in order on the album, but like you have these two songs go with album 1, and these two songs go with issue 2, and etc. So it was really cool. The art's really good, but I love the songs in it are really good. But she's definitely each time she refines her sound a little bit more, and this album sounded the most poppy,
Yeah.
which it's not my favorite of her albums. It's probably my third favorite, with Siberia being the top, and then Little Machines being the second, and then that one being the third, and then her first album being my fourth favorite. But it's also really good. But then she releases like an acoustic version of all of her albums, so you got to fit those in there.
What?
That's whatever. This is acoustic versions of just about every single album that she makes. So really good.
Lights is very busy, apparently.
And then I guess in that same boat, someone I listened to around the same time is Hey Ocean,
Yeah.
which is a bit more unknown band-ish, but I haven't ever seen
Are they
them.
still around?
Yeah, there's like they released an album this year,
Okay.
which is really, really good. I listened to that album real hard. They're from Canada, so is Lights. Like they're both Canadian, but Hey Ocean's really, really good. The Hurt of Happiness was their newest album. It's really, it's a pretty darn good album. Like I like the whole thing, but it's, everything's leaning to a sound for people that have been around long enough.
Yeah.
It feels like, because that's just kind of what's working more, but they've still retained their unique sound, because Dave Vertesi on that bass he's one of my favorite bass players. Oh, I love him.
Oh, man.
He's great.
Johnny, what you got?
That was what I got. What you got?
So what I got is I was originally going to say, or not originally. I have to go back to my original answer. But while we were talking about the question and all, I was thinking, Reliant K. I've been listening to them my whole life.
Oh, dude, me too.
But then we were like, no, you got to keep up with them. Fuck, I have not kept up with them.
I don't
since
think
like
Reliant.
When did you stop listening?
When did I stop
Well,
listening to
like,
new Reliant K?
Yeah. Because for me, it was about the birds and the B-sides. was I think was what I
I
stopped
have to
at.
pull them up now.
which was 2008.
yeah,
It's
it's
11 years ago.
Yeah, no, yeah. It's been about since.
So is Reliant K your
2006?
Is Reliant K your answer then?
Reliant
Or do
K
you
is
have-
not my answer because I do not keep up with them anymore, and I
do you-
haven't for years. I love their old music, so I still listen to it to this day. I'm pretty sure I was jamming to "Be My Escape" by them just the other day.
What is that the
Such a
band
good
that you're
song.
just like connected the closest with this band?
I will always love them.
Yeah.
It's got to be ABR for me. It's got to be August Burns Red.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
Yeah, because I've been listening to them they really started my metalcore career. Mm-hmm. Really not career, but well, I guess career.
You're listening to
My
of
listening
metalcore?
to of metalcore, yes. They were one of the first metalcore bands that I ever got into, and I've still kept up with them to this day. Obviously, with their recent release of The Legend of Zelda, which was a week ago.
Did you like Phantom Anthem?
I did. I wasn't like huge on it.
Yeah.
But I still got it in my, usual mix of songs that I have on shuffle play.
I actually like Found in Faraway Places, the one before Phantom Anthem.
Yeah, and Faraway Places is a good one. Or Found in Faraway Places, thank you.
Because like the opening riff on the first song, The Wake, I was like, whoa, I've never heard this August Burns Red before.
Yeah, so August Burns Red for me, they always find their way back into my mix with, new tunes coming out left and right.
Like even with like on their like instrumental stuff.
They're always doing something.
Yeah, they're always like super busy.
Like they are
Super
so
good.
active, it's not even funny.
It's so good that they're like a band. I've always like viewed August Burns Red as like a band of musicians as opposed to like just like a regular band. So
Oh,
it's,
yeah.
it's almost like they're an orchestra. Like they can just like, here's music, we're gonna write this now. Because even like their bass player, whom I can say this as a bass player, usually the bass players know the least about music. Their bass player is like phenomenal at guitar and like writing music. I'm pretty sure he wrote. Did Dustin write or did he write the Legend of Zelda stuff? Because I know working on it. I don't know if you guys saw the
Honestly,
promo
I don't
video.
know who
Yeah.
did all the writing for it.
Well, Dustin, their bass player, I think he wrote a lot of Phantom Anthem. He writes a lot of the riffs now and stuff like that. He's phenomenal.
Yeah, and obviously I'm a drummer, and Matt Greiner is
The guy.
he is one of my biggest
He
inspirations.
is the hero guy.
Yes, he is my hero. No, he's just a huge inspiration for my drumming, and always has been.
Yeah.
Like I said, ever since I got into metalcore, which is roughly around the same time I started getting into drums.
Yeah.
I got into drums a few years prior, but really got into it once I started listening to the heavier things, as the kids say.
The heavier thing.
I think like
the
if
things
you're
that have the screams.
yeah, I think like if you're into metalcore or kind of like metal at all, you probably know who Matt Greiner is, and you probably know who Luke Holland is,
Yeah.
Yes.
because that's pretty much the reason that a lot of people will listen to metal to start with. Is just because those guys are two incredible drummers. They're like the best drummers.
They're absurd.
They're so good.
And then you have
Just like super clean too. Like they
Yeah.
don't ever screw up. Like I don't know how much they practice, but it's like
It's
they're
unreal.
machines. It's
Absolutely
almost
unreal.
like having a computer be on the drums for you.
well, not just that. Another drummer that is just stupid good in the metalcore scene is Ocean's 8 Alaska's drummer.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
What's it? Chris Turner.
Yeah.
He just blows me away with like all the things he does. I can't even keep up with what he's doing, let alone comprehend.
Yeah.
Like half the stuff he plays. It's because of him that I got into incorporating metric modulation into the things that I write.
Tell us
What
about
are
metric
you, a nerd?
modulation.
I'm a nerd. So metric modulation.
We don't want to know.
Yeah, we don't need
metric
that.
modulation.
We don't need that.
On to the next question.
On to the next one.
It has to talk.
I gotta
Yes.
answer my own question first. Actually, this is my question.
Yes, it is.
For me, personally, I'm gonna say Aerosmith. I love Aerosmith.
Alright.
Aerosmith's my favorite band, and I've always said that. But I don't think I've ever said why Aerosmith is my favorite band.
No.
Everyone's just like, oh, you love hardcore metalcore, but Aerosmith's your favorite band.
Okay.
The thing about it is, like, I really love, like, old 70s records, which is why that Barry Manilow record, like, really stuck out to me. There's
All
something...
of one day ago?
Yeah, all of today.
All of today.
There's just something about, like, records that were recorded in the 70s. It's just kind of like, I think. So, what Aerosmith was doing back in the day was they were, like, kind of amplifying it a little bit. So they would just kind of, like, take... So if you, like, think about Dream On and you think about, like, all those, like, dissonant chords and stuff that they're doing.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, the way that Steven Tyler sings and stuff like that. It's just kind of, like... It takes the mellowness of the 70s and just kind of, like, tilts it a little bit.
Huh.
So where it's, like, kind of, like, edgy, I think. So Aerosmith was always, like, kind of edgy to me, as opposed to, like, an AC/DC, which is just, like, all the way turned up to 45.
Yeah.
So I just kind of, I really dig a lot of the ways that they write. Because they're still, like, super classic, but it's also just, like, a little bit edgy, tilted a little bit. So that's why I love Aerosmith a lot.
Cool. I didn't know that. That's
Aerosmith
really neat.
hasn't put out an album for quite a while, I don't think.
So can they really be your answer to this question?
They can, because
Okay.
the last album that they put out was in 2012.
That's a while ago.
Yeah.
If you really think about
If
it.
you think
while
about
ago.
it, but I still keep up. I have seen Aerosmith live before, and that was 2013, I think.
Okay.
And they're great. Like, super surprised. Because, like, you can go to see, like, Rolling Stones or any of the bands that were around back then,
like,
and you're
yeah.
going to be, like, suffering on quality a little bit.
Let me tell you, I went Def Leppard
Yeah.
a few months ago. Not good.
Yeah.
Not good.
Any of those older bands, you're going to be like...
Journey was still tight. They were real tight.
Well,
Journey,
they had to get a new vocalist to be tight.
they did, but at the same time, he was fantastic. But
Yeah.
I mean, like, because Def Leppard opened for them.
Right.
Def Leppard was. I could have gotten there after them.
Right.
It'd been fine.
But just, like, seeing all those... Like, even bands from the late 80s, like Metallica suffering super hard.
Yeah.
And, like, just those guys that are getting up in their 50s and 60s that are just like, ah... And then you got bands from the 70s, which are like 70s and 80s now. But like Aerosmith sounds flawless. I was like super surprised by that. I
That's
was
awesome.
Like, a band that's been doing something for so long that it's just easy. Like they just, it was almost like they couldn't make mistakes. And like Steven Tyler, his voice changed after their first or second album for some reason to where it was just like, it kind of sounded like an older person. So he just kept going with it. So it's like
Okay.
if you listen to like, Walk This Way or something like that.
Yeah.
Like anything that wasn't like Dream On, you know, anything from the first album. I don't know if you all probably don't know a whole lot of Aerosmith lore.
I don't know about
But,
that.
I never kept up.
Anything after the first or second album, Steven Tyler's voice kind of changed to that like, you know, that kind of like creaky sound that he has through like the 80s and 90s and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he can just continue to do that probably until the day he dies because he sounds exactly the same as he would on any of those albums.
That's awesome.
So yeah, he sounds super good still.
Very cool.
But
I
yes,
didn't know that.
Aerosmith, still keep up with them to this day. Their bass player Tom Hamilton, like I learned so much from him. Like just growing up in the old days playing old Aerosmith tunes. He does a lot of like kind of like simpler licks, I guess. Just stuff that really makes you feel it.
Yeah.
And for someone who's learning, it's like, and you're just kind of learning by ear, that stuff is like super easy to, you know, it's just kind of like simple walks and stuff like that. That's
Okay.
and none of their like tempos are really difficult or anything like that, but it's just like, it's really groovy
Right.
and in the moment kind of stuff.
Very cool.
That's what I'm about. Aerosmith.
Aerosmith. That's a good
Very
pick.
nice. That is a good one.
All right, we got a Darian question coming up.
We got two. Thank you
Hush.
very much. I went back through messages. Those are the two that I sent. Get bent.
Let's go ahead and do the second one.
Do the second
I
one.
did not know the first one existed.
Get bent.
I answered the second one, is what
Get
I'm trying
bent.
to say.
All right.
And this is probably going to be our last question.
Yeah.
So, my question is, what's an album or albums or a song or songs that helped to bring you out of a bad place, either emotionally when you were feeling down and not great, or creatively when you felt like you were stuck and just didn't know where to go or felt like giving up on, say, music or whatever?
All right. Ben, would you like to go first on this one?
I talked a lot on the last one.
Go
We
ahead,
can let
Johnny.
you
You
go
can go
first.
Okay, I will go first. Well, so I've never felt like I've been in a place. There are my notes. I've never felt like
Johnny's
I've been,
never felt bad in his life.
Never have I
Never,
ever felt
ever.
that. Not a time.
Nope.
Darian can attest to that.
Never.
But I've never been in a place where like I thought about giving up on music. So I can't really relate in that sense. But I do have a couple tunes, or rather,
Just
a
kind of like
tune.
theme songs to your rough times, I guess.
Yeah, I've got some of those.
Yeah.
I've been through some times. One that was really hitting me lately, or I don't know, I can't remember when it was released, but the song is Johnny Cash by Wage War, specifically the version called Johnny Cash Stripped.
That doesn't sound like it'd be a good time.
That was in
Yes. Just-
2018, by the way, just so we can get around that awkward moment. 2018.
Yes, it was pretty recent, but it in a lot of ways it hit home to me with a lot of personal stuff I'd been going through at the time.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like just something about it really spoke to me. The way they had, everything written out and how the song went, and, the things that song.
So it's just, you think it's just that one? Then you got, or do you got like
No,
an
I
album?
have an album in entirety that got me through what I perceive as the darkest period of my life. That I went
Your dark
through.
past.
Yes, my dark past
dark
that I am no
past.
longer in, and it's great.
Okay.
But
That's always nice.
Yeah, it's good.
Silent Planet had just released their album, their second full-length album, I should say. Everything Was Sound.
Good.
It was in 2016. It's super good.
Super good album.
I love that album. But when they released it, I was going through a very, very dark period in my life, and had where I was contemplating like taking my own life and all the dark things and stuff, which we will get into in another podcast, I'm sure, but we don't need to touch up on it this time around.
No, thank you.
That podcast will be called My Dark Past.
Yes.
My Dark Past.
Whole other podcast, different title, everything.
My Dark Past 2, Electric Boogaloo.
That's yes, perfect. But that album, from beginning to end in its entirety, it gave me a lot of comfort and perspective on my personal experiences compared to like what they were talking about in their songs that were just sort of a broad range of a lot of problems and issues and going on throughout society and history.
Well, that whole album's about different mental health things, right?
Yeah.
This one specifically is, yes. Silent Planet, they typically talk about a lot of things. But I'm trying to figure out where I'm going here. Give me a second. Excuse me.
We'll be back when Johnny collects his thoughts here on the old podcast.
Thank you.
All right. Johnny, you got your thoughts?
Yes.
You got your thoughts?
Yeah, so basically it was this album that got me through that really dark period in my life, which
Right.
we will probably explain in detail in another podcast, maybe, perhaps.
Anyway,
All right.
But yeah, so that's it.
So Silent Planet.
Everything Was Sound.
everything was sound.
All right.
I'm glad I met you.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and
Yeah, go
answer
ahead.
real
Go on.
quick.
Right.
What I had for the answer to this question is, unfortunately, Johnny Cash. But the real Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash had 2 albums that came out back to back. I think it was while he was on the same tour. He went to Folsom Prison, so it was the Folsom Prison live show that
That's
he did.
such a good album.
And then he went to San Quentin and did that album as well. And the thing about those that I like the most is 5 albums, but there's something about them that just kind of like make them feel homey, especially if you feel like or you listen to the like the longer versions, because they recorded the whole thing, like they recorded the show like from the beginning where the announcer's talking and like the whole crowd, like you can hear people in the crowd talking.
Mm-hmm.
But they came out like the original version was just Johnny Cash until he was there, until when he was finished, and they didn't have all those extra songs. Like they had opening bands and they had like a whole bunch of other stuff that was going on.
Okay.
Like they had stuff where he was talking to his wife and stuff like that on stage. and just kind of like riffs that they were doing back and forth. And Cash, because he reminds me of my grandpa for some reason.
All right.
Like he
That's
just,
adorable.
I think he just, like my grandpa really liked like old country music like that, and just like he would play stuff like that while we were driving and stuff like that. So I really like Johnny Cash. I like a lot of his songs. Not just like, I think Johnny Cash can pretty much do anything that he wanted to, because a lot of his songs are stories.
Yeah.
So he can just go off. Like he has one song that I really like recently about him. He went into a town and he got arrested for picking flowers.
That's
And,
amazing.
So apparently he had like a pocket full of cocaine, and they didn't take the cocaine, but they took his flower upon entering the prison. And the next day he got out because they only brought him to jail because he was intoxicated, I'm pretty sure. He doesn't mention that in the song. And I'm not entirely sure if this is an entire real event, but it kind of seemed too crazy for him to have made it up.
Yeah.
But when he got out of jail, they gave him back his flower, and just like they return your items when you get out of jail, they're just like, here's your things that we took from you, here's some guitar picks and a flower.
A flower.
So apparently he got arrested for picking the flower, not for being intoxicated, because I don't know what
some
town he was in,
weird
but they're
backwards town.
yeah, they were like, here, you can't pick the flowers here, son. And then they threw him in jail.
But
That's
so the better question is,
wild.
did he leave the jail with the cocaine still in his pocket?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Or let him keep his cocaine. That's, I guess, real important.
But, yeah, the thing about those albums is just, like, it can transport you to a different place and just kind of, like, make you feel, at least for me, make me feel, like, kind of homey, I guess. You know, just something that makes me
Fair.
feel kind of comforted, because it just kind of, like, especially the live albums with him, you know, doing all his banter and stuff, kind of, like, transport you to that place
Yeah.
where it just kind of feels old and comforting.
Right.
So I think whenever I was going through any kind of difficult time, I would just throw on those albums and just be like, let's transport for a little bit and go back to the, 1969.
The good old days.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And it's
remember.
like, since it's so simple and like just easy country songs, it's just easy to dive into. So that's
yes.
that's the
awesome.
old answer for me.
That's a good one.
1969.
I'm glad it,
year.
Yeah.
I remember it like it was yesterday.
Jeez.
What do you got, Darian?
All right. Well, for me, there was a period in my life. We've all had our rough times, and I've always struggled feeling like I was good enough creatively. And there was a period where I was feeling real low. Like that day, I was like, I'm done doing music. I don't want to do it anymore. I'm never going to get any better. I'm not going to create anything that I really like. And I had just, that day, I had happened upon this one album by artist. His name is Andrew Stein. Mm-hmm. And, relatively unknown, probably except for online. But his album, With You, which he had released like a good few years before that, struck a chord with me. I don't know. It like his voice he's got a fantastic voice. He's great at the music he creates is phenomenal, and it made me like think about his music. Like I listened to it a few times, and then on like my fourth or fifth listen through, I'm like, wait a minute, there's not a single there's no drums in any of his songs.
I see how it is.
No, and it's just like,
Yeah.
he caused me to think. He caused me to open my mind a bit more about music and all the stuff and what I could need to make it.
Yeah.
It was a small little thing like that helped to pull me back. Because after that, I immediately just started playing again. Like I the next day I picked up my ukulele and strummed a few chords and then ended up playing a song, and then I felt better, and I kept listening to his album, and the more I listened to it, the better I kept feeling.
Yeah.
And emotionally, I just kind of, whenever I feel sad, I put on my sad album, be it either on my phone or on my record player, and that is Ixora by Copeland. That's my sad times album.
Yeah.
Is it? Do you put on the twin one or
No,
the
I put on the original. The original's way more sad than the twin.
This is true.
The more sad, the better.
Yes. So it's my sad time album. I mean, I'll still listen to it when I'm not sad, just because I love the songs, I love to sing to them. But I put that album on, and then I'll like cry or something, and then I'll feel better.
So to go back to what you were saying before, I think I've definitely been in that spot where it's just like, I can't do everything, so I don't want to play music at all.
Yeah,
so
that's
it's just like,
what it feels like.
Yeah, so I don't have all the instruments, or I don't know how to play all the instruments at once, so I can't.
Yep.
More. And yeah, that definitely sucks. But I think what I've found, kind of like what you did, is that you can just kind of like use what you know how to do in order to make, be creative and kind of make music and kind of just at least have an end product. I think is what's important, to finish whatever you've started and then build from there. So it's like, I don't know how to play drums super well, but I do know how to like tap on the table, and I can record it just so I can have some kind of rhythm or something like that. So it's just like, that's how you kind of get yourself out of that place. It's just be like, I can use what I know how to do to get the project accomplished or something like that.
With Andrew Stein, his guitar playing, it's not like especially percussive. It's not like a Rodrigo y Gabriela. It's not like percussive, but like he used, chucking to keep a beat on a lot of songs, and just that it's just I don't think that's the particular thing that helped me with that album, but just that album overall brought me back to wanting to play music. And, I wish he was more popular, but
Andrew Stein, look him up.
Andrew Stein,
he knows what he's doing.
He's really good.
All right, y'all. Well, it's been
some change.
Yeah. So does anybody, I think we're going to wrap up, actually.
I think so
does anybody have, like, anything that they want to plug? Anything that y'all been doing? Or want to share that y'all are going to be at?
Well, actually, I think we're all three going to be at a show in about 6 days.
Yeah.
Or not.
We're all going to August Red Red.
Yeah,
we're going to go see ABR.
ABR, boy.
Yeah, so that's in Richmond. Find out where we live.
We should probably find out
where we live.
But for me, I'm going to be probably shooting pictures in March at Judiciary's show in North.
Very nice.
Yeah. I've been doing that a little bit more, so if you want to follow me on Instagram or anything like that, then you can see some of my pictures, because I've been taking pictures.
And what is your What is your tag?
My is at benman.jpg. JPEG spelled all the way out. JPEG.
Oh my god.
Very good.
So it's not the weak boy JPEG with the JPG.
JPG.
It's JPEG
that's
spelled
weird.
all the way.
It's not the strong one.
Yeah. So if you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm gonna post some pictures.
Post up.
And I guess if you're throwing your tag in there, we may as well throw our tags in there. When we have our and time of recording, we do not have our social media platforms set up just yet. So we'll throw that in there later. But you can follow me on the Instagrams as well, though I never really post to it. But you can find me basically on any form of social media at morecowbell94. It's the best tag.
And just to like side plug Johnny, he's in a cool band, or what is going to be a cool band once they finish recording their music, and I'm pretty excited about it.
Well, we have music out there.
They're called Contending. So yeah, it's going to be super cool, because I've been listening to some of their new music, and it's flames. It's the best.
Pretty good.
Have their, listening ears ready. But yeah, my band's name is Contending. That's CONTEN, ding.
Ding.
Contending.
Darian, what do you got going on?
I'm like sort of sifting through the shows that I do really want to go see.
Yeah.
And I'm like super about wanting to go see a few. I know Dodie's coming to town.
She's great.
At the end of the year. I'm super excited. Her new EP just dropped like the other day. It's so good.
Yeah, she's great.
This Wild Life's going to be in Richmond in April, and I really want to go see them. We're going to go see ABR. You already mentioned. Excited about.
That's a fun one. Are you going to get in the pit this time? You should get in the pit.
We'll see.
You should do it.
I'm afraid of the pit.
You got to do it.
I'm going to die.
Darian, get in the pit.
Did you hear the audience?
The audience.
All right.
But yeah, those are things I'm looking forward to, and then I'm also working on a cover that I think I might maybe try to release if I get any better.
Awesome.
Two, because I was in a call with some friends and I was just fiddling around on my ukulele, like, learn this song, and I'm like, screw you. But then I looked it up and I started to play it, and I'm like, oh no, this is a lot of fun.
I actually love this song.
It's Wonderwall.
All right.
It's Wonderwall.
End of podcast. Darian playing Wonderwall, and that's.
Also, all three of us may also be going to California here in March.
In coming months.
Oh,
Find
yeah.
us in
For
California.
Swanfest.
If you
Yes.
find us at Swanfest.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah.
All right,
Well,
dudes.
it was nice to hang out with you guys.
This has been the Diner Boys podcast.
Diner Boys.
I'm
I'm
Darian.
I'm Johnny.
Ben.
All right, you guys we'll catch you in the next album.